Welcome to another episode of VGN Weekly. Members of the Virtual Grip crew will recap the previous week's races and bring us one-on-one interviews with racers, league owners, and commentators, as well as others from within the sim racing community. Please like and subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell so you don't miss any of our broadcasts. If you are a league owner or potential sponsor and have a broadcasting need, please visit virtualgrip.net for info on how to get in touch with us. Thanks for tuning in today. Now let's go find some grip.
The week of racing kicked off on Thursday with the Red Light Racing League Skidder Creek SK Modified Series at Concord Speedway. Eric Stout set the pace early, winning the pole with a 15.187 and leading the first 27 caution-free laps. First caution came on lap 28 when Brendan Feeney spun, and from there the race was marked with multiple incidents with the yellow flag waving 6 times. The most significant wreck occurred on lap 84 involving Kenny Allen, Luke Logan Allen, and several others in a multi-car crash. The defining moment came on lap 98 when Brian Neff and Feeney tangled, setting up a dramatic green-white checkered finish. Stout led the restart, but contact with Fred Leclerc in turn 3 sent him spinning, allowing Brian Bianchi to slip through the chaos and claim the win after leading just 1 lap. Leclerc and TJ Henson completed the podium after hard-fought drives through the field. On Saturday, the Bootleg Racing League hosted a thrilling doubleheader at Stafford Motor Speedway, starting with the Outlaw SK Modified Series. Donnie Moore started on the pole and controlled the early stages before an early caution briefly slowed the action. Once back to green, a long green flag run followed, with Trey Bloom applying relentless pressure on Moore, while Chris Davis and James Lowe methodically worked their way through the field. As the race entered the second half, Lowe emerged as the fastest driver, making a decisive move on lap 58 to pass Moore and take control of the race. From there, he was unstoppable, pulling away to take a commanding victory in his return to BRL competition. Davis secured second place after a late race battle, while Aiden Young edged out Moore for third with 10 laps remaining, slightly extending his championship lead. The night concluded with the late model series, where Chris Davis led the field to green, with Ed Springer settling into second early. The battle for position heated up quickly as Trey Bloom and Todd Liston fought their way forward. Bloom moved into second on lap 13 and then took the lead from Davis on lap 18. As the race progressed, Davis reclaimed the top spot, setting up a tense second half. Liston made his move on lap 77, surging to the lead just as Ruben Altice was making a charge of his own. Altice powered through the pack, going 3 wide in an aggressive move to take second before closing in on Liston. With just 2 laps remaining, Altice made a daring pass, securing the lead at the last moment and capturing his 3rd win of the season. Liston finished in second, while Davis rounded out the podium in an exciting finish. It was an action-packed week across both leagues, with thrilling battles and dramatic finishes setting up the stage for more excitement in the coming rounds on the Virtual Grip Network.
Welcome back to VGN Weekly. I am your host, John Hine. I am here this week with Brian Bianchi from Red Light Racing, Yesteryear Racing. On the track a whole lot. Actually, he is our latest yesteryear champion. He also won the Race of Champions in yesteryear, and this past week he picked up a red light victory right at the Concord Speedway. So, Brian, welcome to the show, and how are you this week?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Sounds like you're probably doing really good after picking up a win, though, right?
Yeah, I hadn't had a good start to the season, honestly. Just my own fault, getting myself in spots where I shouldn't be, and it was good to finally get something on the board there. That's not 20th.
Yeah, and you did it at Concord, which is a tricky little track to get around to begin with. Is that one of your favorite tracks you go to, or just a good track for you in general?
No, I usually struggle pretty bad there. I think my highest finish there was fourth until Thursday. I just, it's a hard track. I feel every corner is different. Hard to adjust to it, but I think we figured a little bit out on Thursday. I was able to run top 4, top 5 all day. We took a couple tires just because I felt like I didn't have anything for them in front of me. The only shot I had was maybe take a couple, and it worked out.
It's always nice when things work out. A plan actually works out, especially in racing, because what 90% of them don't work out very well. So,
Yeah.
Either through your own fault or somebody else's fault. Well, Brian, tell me a little bit about iRacing. That's a thing that kind of binds us all together, and that's something that every one of us all have in common. So, how did you find iRacing and get into it?
Believe it or not, I started in 2012, racing on a small laptop with an Xbox controller, doing the rookies. I didn't stick with it very long. I think it was because of the controller. I just wasn't very good. And then the pandemic hit, so I picked it back up. I bought a wheel, pedals, and PC that would run it. And I keep upgrading. I started on a single screen. Now I race VR. I've upgraded to the Moza R9 with the pedals. So it's been a lot of fun.
Well, when you picked it up, when you first got into it, was there a car that, or what did you see? Was it, hey, they run these cars and I want to go give it a shot? Or was it just a racing game that, hey, I want to go check this out?
I mean, I love racing games, obviously, but I think it was the Stafford during the pandemic was doing a challenge where they have fans running, and then you could race against the drivers on, I think it was Friday night or something. And that got me interested, and that's what got me to buy everything. So my first few races were that Stafford and I think we did an SK, a late model, a couple things. I never qualified, but I had fun trying.
Well, hey, that's the name of the game. Have fun. I mean, we all get frustrated from time to time, but having fun is supposed to be part of the equation.
Yeah.
So, you've now fully immersed, I'm going to guess, into iRacing. I'm going to assume that you probably do more league racing than you do open racing.
Yeah, I don't do any officials really.
Okay.
I did enough to get my A license. The competition is just it's not there in the officials to me. Especially being a lower I rating, because I don't run officials, I end up with some guys that are not that good. So I found league racing is really, where you want to be.
Well, I know that you're on a team, so tell me a little bit about your team that you're on, and then what kind of racing do you guys prefer to do?
Yeah, so 505 Motorsports was founded by Rex Hoyle, and we prefer short track racing, but we'll do anything. We've run some road courses, we've done some bigger tracks, but yeah, short track racing is like our blood, modifieds, late models, that kind of thing. But funny story is I was kind of on my own in red light racing. I joined another league. I think it was on Tuesday nights, Crooked Line Racing, and I was struggling. I couldn't figure it out. So I asked a couple guys, Josh Buckley, this and that, anybody need a teammate or somebody that I can learn from, this and that. So I reached out to Rex Hoyle, and just asked, if he wanted to team up or anything. And his first reaction was, well, I don't want to team up, but if you need some help, I would be happy to give you some help. And then that led to us being a team. And honestly, without Rex, I would still be running in the back of the pack. He's been doing it since 1999, and he just knows what he's doing. He's helped me with my wheel pedal settings, just how to drive each track and everything. So it's been fun.
Since '99, either you just called him old or you called him experienced. So we'll let him figure out. We'll let him figure out what which is which. So, the team aspect, once you got involved in that, can you tell me how much that enhanced, hopping on and doing this? Because I know, being a member of a team myself, that really is a really cool dynamic that's part of it.
Yeah, it really is. Rex and I have never actually met in person. He lives in North Carolina, I'm up in Massachusetts. So, our whole relationship is basically iRacing online and being a team. And I don't know, I just think our personalities fit together. He keeps me calm, I can keep him calm. But yeah, when I joined the team, it really got a lot more fun. If you're struggling somewhere, you have somebody to bounce stuff off. Never mind the laughs you have during the races and stuff. So yeah, I really do think that being on a team really enhances everything.
So what kind of rivalry do you got in our team, though? You guys, is it a team where you guys are just having fun, or is there some smack talking going back and forth?
No smack talking. We're very supportive of each other.
Nice.
We did go through a stretch of like a year where every time we were near each other, we slammed doors or something, but never intentional. Never, that wasn't our intent. We seem to have cleaned it up, so we race good around each other now. But yeah, man, that guy, he does all our paints.
Nice.
Jack of all trades. It's pretty amazing.
Oh, very cool. Well, you've been doing this now for a little bit. You're involved with a lot of different leagues, and just like our real life counterparts, everybody, drivers usually will have, a moment that was, special to them, or, just a lot of fun that they like to relive. So for you and your driving capabilities, what's been your favorite moment so far?
I guess there's a couple, but my favorite moment, I think, was my first win in red light racing. It was at Thompson. Made a late race pass for the win, and I was able to beat guys like Dalton Williamson and just all the guys that run in that league. And I never actually thought I would get a win in that. I think I have five now. Yeah.
Well, very, very cool. That first win, did you have to wait for that win, and then the other four came like pretty, that proverbial getting over the hump? So did you have to wait for that win, or did that one come pretty early on in it?
No, it came. I was a lot of seasons in. When I first started out, I was a back mid pack guy. Every now and then I would sneak up and finish top 10. And then just keep working at it. And finally I got that win. It really was a long road. A lot of incidents, a lot of accidents, a lot of I'm sorry's along the way, but it's been a fun ride, and I thank Josh for keeping me around.
Well, I'll tell you, if you drive for any period of time, you will go on an apology tour, and for some of us, several of them. So, we talked about the wins here, and even just recently, grabbing the win there at Concord. But you also have a championship there. So, a championship means you're good over a long period of time here. So, walk me through your championship season. What was that like for you, and what were some of the challenges and some of the bullets that you dodged?
Yesteryear was a first year league. Alan Watermaker created, just unique all the way around. He followed was it the 1990 Whelen Modified Tour schedule,
Yep.
and the rules are completely different. You double file start of the race, and then after that, it's all single file restarts. Because in 1990 they didn't do double file restarts. They didn't have lucky dogs. Um, so it interesting, creative league. Had a lot of fun, but it was. I think that all the drivers really in the beginning were feeling each other out. It was very clean. A lot of fast guys. Tom Ogle is. He's a machine. He's just there every single race, every race. So it was a lot of fun. It would have been a lot closer if Tom didn't miss a week, but I don't want to take that away from myself.
Hey, you can only race the guys that show up when they show up.
Yeah, I learned. So I was in the championship hunt in red light. I was actually the leader by say 8 or 9 points. The year Eric Stout won. Going into Stafford was our final race, and I decided just to start in the back and stay out of trouble. That didn't really work out, and I didn't win the championship. So I learned a lot. I just the last final race at Martinsville, I just found myself a hole. Try to stay away from everybody, just be clean, run up front, and it paid off.
Cool. Yeah, during that season, I talked about dodging bullets and things like that. So along the way there, did you have those moments where it's like, yep, okay, my season's gone, and now I'm back to having fun? Did you go through anything like that, where like the pendulum swinging a little bit for you?
Yeah, I did actually. Myrtle Beach, later in the season, but Myrtle Beach had the fastest car. Got caught up in a couple little things and got 13 incident points. You got to do a drive-through. I hadn't done a drive-through before, so I actually stopped in my pit box and then went out. Well, that doesn't count as a drive-through, so I had to make another stop.
Oh, no.
Instead of winning and being top 3, I finished like 20th, and I was like, I think my season's done. But I think I came back the next week and won and put it right back on track.
When you had those problems and all that, everybody, you go through, we have a moment or two after a race or whatever. Where was your head at then? And then compare that to where your head was at when you showed up the next week to race. That before you won the race, but just to get back in the car.
Yeah, you gotta. I'm usually pretty aggravated that night of, but then I sleep on it, and you gotta let it go, or it's just gonna drive you crazy. So you gotta just come back the next week and put in the preparation and see what happens.
I need to take notes here because I let stuff bother me way longer than probably what I should. So, so you win the race, and all of a sudden, your season went from down in the dumps to turned around. That, oh, okay, well, maybe we've still got something here. So you win the race. What did that win do for you that rest of that season? Because that's probably what was a catalyst for you to actually end up as the champion.
Yeah, confidence, definitely confidence. After that win, I started points racing. Qualify the best you can, stay out of trouble, don't, take any chances. I'm usually pretty aggressive. If I think I have a faster car, I will, try to make a pass. But I think I I learned from the red light loss to just, take it easy, take what you can get, take the points. And I really think that that's what got me. That win got me points racing, and that's where I ended up winning.
So when you start points racing, obviously, you have to, your calculations on track change. So I know some folks probably watch this that have been through many of those things. Some have never run for a championship, or every position, every race counts, that kind of thing. So tell me a little bit, which one do you enjoy more? Do you like that? Hey, I'm just showing up and I'm looking for a trophy, or did you like the challenge of I've got to be on top of it every week? I've got to get good finishes. Every position counts. Which one did you enjoy more?
I gotta admit, after the season, because I was in the red light points championship too. There was 5 of us within 7 points going into the
Wow.
last. After both seasons, I took like 2 weeks off because it's a lot. It's hard to keep every week to focus, and I really enjoyed it, and I also really enjoy just hopping in and going for a win. It definitely, points racing is a lot more stressful than just racing in general.
You don't get to points race without having a solid approach to your races. So how do you approach each week? Do you practice any? Do you use the practice the night of the race? Do you use the AI to practice? So how do you prepare for each race?
We as a team, we always practice. We run at least 100 laps. A lot of times 200-300 laps the night before. Sometimes we use AI when it's a smaller track and you need to kind of get used to passing and that kind of thing. Sometimes we just run, just getting our tire temps where we want them, stuff like that. But yeah, we almost always practice, and then we go on for the practice during the race just to make sure the track temp isn't different, everything is good. But
Well, very cool. You know, one of the cool things is most people that are racing fans have been racing fans almost their whole life. It seems like folks, there's a certain amount of folks that come into it later, but for most part, most people I talk to went to tracks as they were a kid, or their dad raced, or their neighbor raced, all that kind of stuff. Well, you fall into that same boat. You've been around racetracks your whole life. Talk to me a little bit about that. What tracks, and how did you? What was your first exposure to racing?
well, my father and grandfather lived across the street from the Crusoe racing garage. Fats Crusoe is a top 50 modified driver at Stafford. And then Dave Crusoe, his son, ran after he retired. But my father was involved, sponsorships, working on the car, crew. So, I mean, my earliest memory is Westboro Speedway, maybe 6, 7 years old, sitting in the stands with my aunt. But man, we went to Riverside Park, Stafford. We won 2 championships at Stafford in a pro stock. One championship at Riverside in a pro stock. We bought him Bob Junkins, the famous modified car owner. He's actually Ryan Priest's grandfather. We bought a car from him, the Red 2X.
Wow.
And the first time he ever drove it at Riverside, he won. Never been in a modified before in his life, and he won. I mean,
Really?
Yeah, the talent that he had was just unbelievable. He could just make a car. He could make a car go.
That is crazy.
But yeah, his father was, one of the best modified drivers to ever live.
In the blood.
The reason that Fats doesn't get the credit that some of these other guys do is because he always raced for money. Back then, they raced for points, right? But sometimes it would be a point race where a big money race was, and he always went and did the money race, because keep the funding going.
Yeah.
He won several races. He got in a really bad crash in the 1 cent car, got burned up pretty bad, took a year off, but he came back and so every year we built a new pro stock, and Fats jumped in it one time, jumped in the backup car one time at the World Series and finished third. He hadn't driven a car in like 12 years, and it was drove a car with power steering, and I mean, just crazy how the talent that they have and the control of the cars.
So, you said earlier you're from Minnesota, or not Minnesota. I'm in Minnesota right now, but you're in Massachusetts.
Right.
And now I'm gathering here that you're a big modified fan. So, there's a lot of tracks up in that Northeast there, and that is modified country. Your Staffords, your Thompsons, your Wall Stadiums, your quite a few of them that are up there. So, what tracks around up there have you gone to, and is there one that is like your home track where you normally like to go?
Yeah, so I have 2 home tracks. I literally live 15 minutes from Thompson Speedway, and I'm about 40 minutes from Stafford. So those are really my home tracks. Those are the ones I go to weekly, and whenever they have a show. I'm about an hour from Seekonk Speedway. I've been to all of them, Lee, all the northern tracks. I've been to all of them. Can't always make them all, but I try to support them, because if we don't, they're not going to be there.
Well, those tracks, they all have their marquee race, of the season. So of those marquee events, which one, when the calendar changes and it's a new year, so what races do you circle and say, okay, we're going to this one for sure?
I go to all the modified tour races. The Wheel of Modified Tour, I don't know what it is. There's just nothing better than that race to me. Even, we have other tour races around, which is great, track and all that. But it just seems like whatever the tour guys have it's just a different animal. But I try to make all the big ones. So if the Tri-Tracker's around, Stafford Open shows, Seekonk does a Modified Madness or Open Wheel Wednesday, it usually is. So I try to go to that. My father still goes. He's 74. My aunt still goes. So, we try to go to all the big shows.
You ever, you probably have then if you're like those modifieds, but up all the way up to Loudon, go watch those guys on the big track there.
Yes, we've been there. We used to go a lot when it first opened. My father had a motorhome. Man, I was probably only 17, 18 years old, but we've been going up there a long time.
Television doesn't do racing in almost any forms any justice about how you watching TV, you can't get the speed and how on edge guys are. I've got to ask, up there at Loudon, I've actually never been to Loudon and seen a modified race up there, but I have to think that those guys going through those corners there at Loudon are probably pretty spectacular to see. Can you see the speed, when you're sitting up in the stands with that?
Yeah, you should put that on your bucket list to see a modified tour race at New Hampshire. They swap leads every other lap. There's passing going on everywhere because of the drafting and the different entries to the corner. I mean, it's amazing to watch how they don't crash every single lap. It really is. And they are really, the cars only weigh 2,200 pounds with 8 horsepower and 18-inch wide tires. It's amazing to watch them go.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I might be mistaken, but I could have swore that not too long ago they whipped around their lap times. I think it was one of the new Gen cars came out for the Cup, but they got around that track faster than the Cup cars do.
Yeah, by a couple seconds.
Yeah, is that still the case, or was it just because I remember seeing the story a year or so ago, and I remember the NASCAR folks are really happy to have a lower tier going quicker than their bread and butter.
I mean, you have to remember that the Cup cars are 600 horsepower with 15-inch tires, and they're a
Yes.
little heavier. Uh,
Yep.
yeah, so they're still probably a couple seconds faster.
Still, okay. Yeah, that's incredible. I know they came into Bristol once. I think over the last few years, I would have loved to seen them there at Bristol. I think that would have been nothing short of spectacular. Um, so you talk about Thompson being your local track. I mean, do you have a favorite? Where whether it be just the racing's the best on this track or it's the best point of view. Do you have a favorite track of all the ones that you go to?
I mean, I got to be honest. I think Stafford is done just a terrific job. Car counts, maintaining the place. The racing's great. So I mean, if I had to pick, I would probably pick Stafford right now. If you asked me 10 years ago, I probably would have said Thompson. Just what Stafford's done recently in the last 5 years has really thrown it over the top.
So when you get into your car for one of these leagues and they're lined up at one of these two tracks, so from behind the wheel, which one of the two are one of those your favorite tracks?
Again, I love them both. Thompson was my first win in red light. I have a win at Stafford. But I think Stafford to drive is the most fun. You can pass a little bit at Stafford. Thompson's just so hard to pass. It's really hard when you get on the bottom. But yeah, Stafford's
But it's so much fun to drive. Thompson, you take all the other cars off the track and have the whole passing thing. Thompson is a blast to drive.
Oh, it is.
Just
It's fast.
things to race on.
Yeah, it's so fast. You have a lot of grip. I mean, it is a lot of fun until you try to pass somebody.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that kind of that's part of the process when you race. So when you line up in your car, do you ever look up where you sat there last, or do you kind of reminisce or anything like that, or you remember certain things when you're on the track?
Yeah. So as a team, we kind of keep track of what we ran the time before, and we can kind of look it up and say, oh well, last time we ran this, let's see if that works, or or they did an update and now you got to go back to the drawing board. But yeah, we in practice we make sure we take all the notes and everything.
When you were a kid, though, so did you have a drive outside? Take Caruso's out of it because obviously you had a connection there. So, as a kid and growing up, who was your driver then? Was it probably one of the Carusos? But was there anybody else that you ever rooted for?
Yeah, I mean it was definitely, I mean, David by far. There's nothing like winning or watching the guy you're working with and helping.
Sure.
And but I was a big Ted Christopher fan. um I just he could get in anything and drive it. He just sprint cars, late models, modifieds, and always up front. Was a little aggressive, the 3-tap Teddy rule. I think that's what drew me to him. When I was 6 or 8 at Westboro, it was a guy named Billy Katzenberg. He was my first guy that I used to root for. He had a maroon 19. At least that's what I can remember anyway. But that's who was my first.
That's very cool. When how about watch any other forms of motorsports? Do you watch Indy cars or Formula One or drag racing or dirt or anything else that you follow?
Yeah, I do some dirt. I don't watch much open wheel, Indy, Formula One. Uh, it's not my cup of tea, I guess we'll say.
Yeah.
Um, I do some. I watch the Supercross, Monster Energy Supercross.
Okay.
Uh, they put on a pretty good show. Um, but if there's a race, I'd probably watch it if it was on.
Spoken like a true race fan. Um, I can recall a time you don't ever see him on TV. I remember flipping through the channels and seeing swamp buggy racing on, yeah, I don't know, probably like the Ocho, ESPN 8 or some obscure channel like that, And I always thought, man, those driving those swamp buggies actually look kind of fun. But
Always had
yeah,
a hole that they had to go through.
yes, yes, that's right.
Like bog
And
them.
just yeah, some of them got stuck, steam pulling out, and they're stuck dead in the water.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so then yeah, you're on the same wavelength, and you've probably seen these same races at some point.
Yep. Absolutely.
Gotcha. Well, that's cool. Now I want to watch one of those all over now. Um, so being up there in Massachusetts, when you're not in and around racing or on iRacing, what do you do for a living? And kind of tell me a little bit about your background.
I'm a master electrician. I now run the electrical services department at Brandeis University.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
yeah, so I progressed. I went from just being an electrician to a foreman to a project manager, and now I work for the university. So it's been a good run career wise. I've been lucky. Had some good breaks, good teachers. Um, my grandfather was an electrician. My father's an electrical engineer. So that's kind of in the family. Um, yeah, my career's actually gone pretty well.
It's cool. So the electrician part, that means you got to be fairly smart to do that. You're not you don't have your hair standing straight up, so no any kind of crazy, finger in the light socket, the hair kind of thing. Um, so when you're yeah, you just I'm assuming that you just kind of maintain the buildings, the buildings up there and all that kind of stuff. Make sure when things need to be wired into maybe a new building or a new system coming online. I'm assuming that you and your team go in there to make sure that that's taken care of, that kind of thing.
Yeah, we have 100 buildings on campus. We take care of
Oh,
the
wow.
fire, the electrical lights, emergency lights, all that stuff. So
Very cool.
very busy.
Well, how about family? Can you tell me a little bit, if you don't mind me asking, a little bit about your family background?
Yeah, I'm married. My wife Christina. We got 3 girls that are older. One of them's married. One's getting married. The other one has a son. He's autistic. He's 6 now. And then my son, who still lives at home, he's 13. So yeah, kind of a big family. It's been a fun ride.
Yeah, I am. I've got 3 of my own, and they're to that age where they're almost out. So too, and my youngest being 14, so just a little bit older than yours. So yeah, on one hand, you feel like job's almost done, but on the other hand, you're probably like, nah, I don't really want it to be over quite yet, that kind of thing. But
No, I mean I don't think it ever would be over.
no, it won't be, and I know that. But so the little bit of sigh of relief that okay, I've gotta let go. I can't threaten to kill guys that call and threaten to shoot people that hurt my kids or something like that. Hurt their feelings. I guess I should say.
Right.
So, how long you been married?
I've been married now 13 years.
Well, congratulations. That's very cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been,
Yeah, it's it takes a lot of work to do that, and that's something you guys should be very proud of. Very cool a part to do there. Um, so how involved are they? With do these broadcasts that with both networks? Your red light and your yesteryear both broadcasts here on VGN. Do you guys like sit and watch the races? You know, you pull it up on a TV, watch them. How involved are they?
Yeah, my wife watches. She usually watches while I'm racing in the other room, so she knows what to expect when I come out. My son,
Come out. There's just a note on the fridge. Hey, I'll be back later if she knows
yeah,
something's gone wrong.
my son's not that interested, to be honest. If I win, he gets excited. He'll watch, but for the most part, he's got his
Do
own
you
stuff.
drag do you drag them along to the real world tracks? You know, if you're gonna go to Stafford and all that,
Yeah. Again, he's a little young for it, but I drag him at least once a year, if not a few. Sometimes he wants to go, sometimes he doesn't. So we're working on him. We'll get him there.
well, once he gets there, does he have a good time, or is he it kind of escape his attention from time to time?
It
Because
goes
that's
both
my
ways.
son likes going, but eventually through the night, I'll look over and he's back on his phone.
Yeah, both ways. Sometimes he's really into it. Sometimes he'll go on his phone. Uh, if you get him enough cotton candy and ice cream, he's usually pretty good.
Your son can never meet my son, or we're gonna go broke at the cotton candy stand. I got a feeling that's that's a prerequisite. You know, I think the last time I asked her, like, "Am I gonna get cotton candy?" It's like, dude, you're going to a racetrack, man. You know, I even tried to gross them out once because we go to dirt tracks. So I once said, man, you're gonna get dirt in that whole thing. You really want to sit and eat dirt all night? Still cotton candy, Dad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, it's funny where the priorities are when you're younger and they grow to be a little different. But yeah, that's about the only way that I ever get anybody. There's got to be a bribe of some sort involved. My daughter likes going, but she likes to go and get a driver's hoodies and stuff like that. You know, come back with some garb.
Oh
So
yeah. Yes.
yeah. So well, you know what? It's been really cool sitting here chatting with you here this week and all that. And man, I tell you, um, one of the other things I was going to ask you is your team has a lot of sponsors and whatnot on there. A lot of folks that I saw on there. What is your relationship to the sponsors and stuff like that? Get them a little plug on here.
Yeah. So Culpepper's Bakery and Cafe out here in Worcester, Massachusetts. They've been like a long time supporter, sponsor of me. He's an old friend. Used to work on Crusoe race team. Um, Kevin just he's always been there. Good supporter. Rex Hoyle down North Carolina. He brought along Colony Tire. They've been great all along supporting 505. Christina's Custom Cuts, Bar Mackey, and Zeno's Luxury Jackets. They're all family friends that give all the support, and we really couldn't do it without them.
That's really cool, and I love that they all come on board there. And like I said, get them mentioned here and whatnot. So if you're watching, go out and find them on Facebook. I'm sure most of those folks have Facebook pages and all that. Give them a like and all that. You know, keep them all involved in stuff like that. I think that's it's always cool that people that support some of our habits. I guess you know.
Yeah, yeah. It's good to have people behind you. My wife's always been supportive. Giving me the time. My son's always been supportive. So, yeah, it's good to have people that support you.
Oh, very cool. Well, you know, again, I want to thank you for coming on this week and everything else. I got a couple things here left I want to do here, and one of which is I always do. I don't know if you've watched these or not, but it's just like a little green white checkered, little quick, either or, put you on the spot to make you choose one.
Okay,
So you ready to play along?
I'm ready. Let's go.
All right. Perfect scenario. Whelen Modifieds, Stafford or Thompson. You got to pick one. That's the only one you can go to the rest of the year.
Oh boy, Stafford.
Stafford. Why?
Um, if that's the only one I can go to the rest of the year, they have more shows. They have a better facility right now, so I would choose Stafford.
All right, we talked a little bit earlier about difference between points racing and showing up for trophies. So,
Yeah.
given the thing, would you rather have a season where you won 5, 6 races in a season, or would you take a championship year? You got the 5 wins, no championship, or you have to point your way to it, only maybe pick up 1 or 2.
I mean, they both sound like pretty good seasons.
Well, absolutely. You take either one on their face, but which one would you choose? Do you want the glory or the win the war?
I'll win the war. I'll take the championship.
Take the championship. Very good. The last thing I have would be, you talked about the late model and the modifieds. Did you have a preference between one of those two?
Modifieds all the way.
All the way. That's kind of what I suspected on that. So,
Not even
but
close.
I'm a late model guy, granted dirt, but I also, I grew up around, or not grew up around, but I've gone up to I used to love going to Kalamazoo Speedway, and they've got outlaw late models there, which are just awesome to watch. And so I've always been a late model guy. So, well, let me ask you real quick before you go, where is your next race? Where you plan on getting back on the track at?
I'm racing again Thursday at Stafford in red light. And then
that will be right here on VGN too, so that's pretty cool.
And yeah.
So what is your expectations when you get there?
Honestly, Stafford, I expect to be in the top 5. I have the speed there. If I stay out of trouble, there's no reason why I shouldn't be there.
With all the laps that I've got to assume that you have on there, so this week, we talked about preparation. You talked about running 100, 200 laps. When you're practicing this week for that, what are you hoping to learn? Or what are you looking to strengthen to get that top 5?
So in red light, we use Team 53 make the setups. So they're not setups, so they are a little different. So if you don't go and put in a little time to get used to the way that his setups drive rather than the regular iRacing setups. So I looked at usually my first few laps are not very good until you figure out, how he's designed the setup and where to run. But after about 100 laps, you kind of get the feel for it. You get a rhythm. You can make a couple of settings adjustments if you need to. So yeah, that's basically it.
Do you ever, when you're practicing, do you ever find something that's like, oh, this is great, it's got to work? You get into a race and it's like, yeah, not happening.
Yes, I've actually had it go both ways. Where I think I've got this is going to be awesome, and it's just junk. And then I've practiced for 2 days, and the race is coming, and I got nothing. And you make a just a drastic move, and it ends up working. So yeah, it's definitely gone both ways.
Yeah, I practice, when I do, and it's so hard to simulate race pace, what's going on, that race environment. It is so hard to kind of figure that stuff out. I would almost say impossible to really actually simulate it, even with the AI. So.
Yeah, that is true, and I think it's all about track temp too. So if you practice at 80 degrees and then you come in and it's 83, the car's going to act different. Or you practice at 80 and you come in at 77, it's going to be a lot tighter. So I mean, it's all about track temp and how much rubber gets laid down now with the dynamic track and all that. So it's fun to learn. It's always different. You could run Stafford this Thursday, and then they do an iRacing update, and next Thursday it's completely different. So it's fun to just keep
grinding.
Yeah, keep grinding.
Well, again, like I said, thank you so much for coming on here this week. I've really enjoyed to getting to know you and all that. We'll look forward to watching you this Thursday night right here on VGN. Maybe park that car in Victory Lane this week.
Yeah, well, hopefully I'll be talking to Soup.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. And everybody, we want to thank you for joining us this week here on VGN Weekly. Tune in next Tuesday. Until then, we hope you have a great week.
Coming up on VGN, the Red Light Racing Skidder Creek SK Modified Series will be live from Stafford Motor Speedway on Thursday, February 6 at 7:55pm Eastern. The Bootleg Racing Modifieds and Late Models from Myrtle Beach Speedway will air on Saturday, February 8th at 7:40pm Eastern. On Tuesday, February 11th, VGN Weekly will air at 9am Eastern with race recaps, interviews and more. And coming soon to VGN, the OBRL's NASCAR Cup Series will begin its 36 race schedule on February 16th. The inaugural Yesteryear Racing IROC Series will fire up on February 18th, and the VGN debut of Yesteryear Racing's 1966 Tour Modified Series will kick off on February 25th. You can see our full schedule at virtualgrip.net/calendar.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of VGN Weekly. Join us next time for race recaps, interviews, and much, much more. Please like and subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell so you don't miss any of our broadcasts. If you are a league owner or potential sponsor and have a broadcasting need, please visit virtualgrip.net for info on how to get in touch with us. This has been a production of the Virtual Grip Network and the Skidder Creek Motorsports Group.